Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, budget friendly, and delicious. So if you're looking for some weeknight meal ideas for your family, just keep watching. For dinner this first night, Gary asked me where I would like to go, and we haven't been to O'Charlie's in years, and their chicken salad just sounded really good to me. So we started out with their spinach and artichoke dip, and I do have to say, since the last time we've been there, the serving of the spinach and artichoke dip is a lot smaller. It's delicious, but it's a lot smaller than what I remember. And then they, of course, brought us their rolls and butter, which are delicious. And then I'm pretty sure O'Charlie's used to do half sizes of their salads. I could be wrong, but I noticed that they've changed their menu quite a bit since we've been there last. But I got their chicken tender salad with honey mustard. Their honey mustard is delicious. It's my favorite. They used to sell it in the grocery stores, but I can't find it anymore, which I'm bummed about. But this salad was delicious. It was so big, though. I only ate about half of it and saved the other half for lunch the next day. And then Gary got their chicken tenders cheeseburger meal, and it came with fries. And he tossed the chicken tenders in their barbecue sauce. I tried the chicken tenders and the a bite of his burger, and they were actually pretty good. I wasn't expecting much. Not to be rude, but O'Charlie's is more known for their chicken tenders than their burgers, but their burger was actually pretty good. I had a bottle of the Kinder's marinade in my pantry that I really needed to use up, so I decided to make steaks this night. Here is what I'm using. So first up, I've got some sirloin steaks. Sirloins are one of the cheaper cuts of steak, so we're keeping this, budget friendly. And then this Kinder's marinade. This is the brown sugar and garlic, y'all. I cannot remember for the life of me exactly where I got this. I want to say it was Ollie's, but I won't swear to it. But I just added the steaks in that marinade to a Ziploc bag, gave it a little smush, popped it in the refrigerator overnight. And then to cook these up, I just seared them in a cast iron skillet with some olive oil. And then at the very end, I used a little pat of butter. Now, I wasn't thinking when I seared this, I had my heat up pretty high. I wasn't thinking there was sugar in that marinade. So it looks a little burnt, the steaks, but it wasn't. It was caramelized. It didn't taste burnt at all. So I cooked those until they were done to our liking, and then I also made some sauteed onions and mushrooms, just a little butter, sliced onions, sliced mushrooms, salt and pepper, and some Worcestershire sauce. Cooked them on about medium-low heat until they were nice and tender and the onions were caramelized. And then I bought the ingredients to make this crostini, which I'll have the recipe linked down in the description box below. I was going to make it several nights before this and just hadn't gotten around to it, so I figured tonight's the night I'm going to make this. Here's what I'm using. First up, I have a baguette that I've sliced. I've got some Brie cheese, a thinly sliced apple, some prosciutto, arugula, and some hot honey. I can't remember off the top of my head what the oven was set to. I want to say about 375, but again, the recipe will be linked down below. I just placed the sliced baguette onto a baking sheet, sliced up that Brie cheese, added that, and then popped that into the oven for, I don't know, maybe like 5 to 10 minutes until the Brie cheese started to melt. Once that came out of the oven, I added a slice of the apple, a slice of the prosciutto, and then a couple of arugula leaves and drizzled that hot honey over top, and this was yummy. And we also ended up drizzling some of the Trader Joe's balsamic reduction over it, and that was delicious. This was a yummy little appetizer. And for one of the other sides, I've mentioned this several times before on my channel, but there is a pizza chain restaurant called Boom Ba's, and they have the house salad, and I love it, and I've tried to recreate it at home. So here's what I like to use. First up, we need some arugula, and then I've got some honey roasted pecan pieces, balsamic vinaigrette, some dried craisins or cranberries, and then I have honey goat cheese. Really, you could use a plain goat cheese, whatever you prefer. I wouldn't suggest using like a garlic and herb. I would either go with plain or honey. So all I'm going to do is lay down the arugula, add the rest of the ingredients, toss it with the vinaigrette. And here are the plates. So we've got the steak and mushrooms, the crostini, that salad, and then for Gary, I had a russet potato, so I baked that along with the sweet potato. Well, not really baked it. I cooked it in the air fryer at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes, and then I flipped the potatoes over, cooked them for another 20 minutes or so until they were fork tender. So like I said, for him, I did a russet potato, topped it with some shredded cheese, bacon crumbles, green onions, sour cream, butter, salt, and pepper. And then for me, I did a sweet potato. I topped mine with a little bit of butter, some brown sugar, and cinnamon. And this was delicious and so much cheaper than going out to a restaurant or especially a steakhouse. But it was delicious. So good. So a couple years or so ago, we went to a restaurant called Whiskey and Water in Blue Ridge, Georgia, and Gary ordered a dish there called Miso Cod with ramen, and he loved it. And I tried it, and it was delicious, and so I tried to recreate it at home. I did find a recipe online that I followed, so I'll link that down in the description box below for you. Let me show you what I did. We're going to start out by making the marinade for the cod. So in this little bowl, I'm going to add some white miso paste. Now, I got this from Thrive Market, but I've seen this in the regular grocery stores. Then we're going to add some soy sauce. I prefer to use low sodium, but you do you. If you want to use regular sodium soy sauce, go for it. Then I'm adding some sesame oil. The recipe called for freshly grated ginger, but I've got this ginger paste tube on hand that I am really trying to use up, so I'm going to do that. And then some mirin. I just found this in the Asian aisle at Kroger. So I'm going to give that a stir and then set that to the side while I work on the cod. So for the cod, I just got some fillets and I laid it out on this little red mat because I wasn't sure if I was going to cut it into smaller pieces or not, but once I got them laid out, I was pretty happy with the size. So I just added those to a Ziploc bag, and then I'm going to pour that miso marinade into the bag, give it a little smush, and then the recipe said to marinate this for about 30 minutes or so. I think I did a couple hours just because I had it, but yeah, just pop it in the fridge and let it marinate. So now we're going to sear up the cod. And a quick kind of side note, I've had a couple people ask me about these pots and pans. I got them months ago. These are the Caraway pans. I've had a few people ask me what I think about them, and they're okay. They're not my favorite. Here you'll see a perfect example. So my skillet was completely hot. It was, there's no reason this fish should have stuck. I had plenty of oil in this and it had a good sear on it. And as you see, the cod stuck. And I have that problem in these pans. And if you watch my videos, you know I do not use metal in these pans. I hand wash them with gentle soap. So I don't know, maybe it's just the batch I got. I know they're very highly recommended, but I do have problems with these pans sticking, even though they say they're nonstick. But I digress. So after I seared the cod, I removed it to a skillet and then I added in a splash more oil. I added some bok choy that I gave a rough chop to, as well as some sliced mushrooms. And I'm going to give that a stir and cook that for maybe about 5 minutes until the bok choy is tender. Now, I did off camera remove the bok choy and mushrooms because I don't know if you saw before I added that, there was a lot of like burnt bits on the bottom and I didn't want it to taste burnt. So I removed the vegetables, cleaned the pan, added them back. So now we're going to make our broth for the ramen in this same skillet. The recipe called for vegetable broth, which you can totally use, but I had some of the seafood stock in my pantry that I wanted to use up, so I thought this was a perfect place for me to use it. So I add the seafood stock and then soy sauce, oyster sauce, and fish sauce. And then I'm going to give that a stir and simmer that for a few minutes. And then here you can see I'm giving it a taste. I felt like it needed a little more oyster sauce and then some salt. So I've added that, gave it another stir, gave it another taste. I was happy with it. And then we're ready to basically assemble our bowls. So for the ramen noodles, you can use whatever kind of noodles or ramen noodles you like. I'm using these Momofuku noodles. Now, I will say these noodles are on the pricey side. I like them. They're delicious with the, they come with like different flavors and sauce packets and everything. They're air fried, not fried, but they are a little pricey. So I got mine at Target, but again, just use whatever you prefer. I cook them according to the package instructions. So to assemble the bowls, I'm just going to lay down some of those cooked ramen noodles. I'm going to add a couple pieces of the cod and then add some of the bok choy and mushrooms and then add some of that yummy broth over top of it. Now with everything, make this your own. If you don't want to use cod, you can use a different kind of fish. If you don't want to use fish, I think tofu would be really good in this, or I'm sure you could do chicken or a vegetarian version. You can also add whatever kind of vegetables you want. You could do like soft boiled eggs in this, again, just do whatever you like. So I'm going to garnish this with some chopped green onions, some of this crunchy chili onion oil. I got it from Trader Joe's. And then I also got this furikake seasoning at Trader Joe's. And I've kind of been looking for a place to use it, but I didn't really know where to use it at. And I thought I'd use it here, and it was delicious. This little seasoning, it's basically just sesame seeds and like shredded nori sheets. So here are the ramen bowls. And like I said, this was delicious. Gary did end up adding a little bit of sriracha to his bowl, but these were yummy. Dinner the next night was off a meal plan, but I had all this stuff on hand and it just sounded good to me. And so I made chili cheese dogs. So here's what I'm using. I did not have any hot dog buns on hand, but I did have these like sub rolls. So I'm just going to use that. And then I have some hot dog canned chilies, some shredded cheese, and some hot dogs. And I'm going to cook up this box of the Kraft cauliflower macaroni and cheese. Just going to cook it according to the package instructions. So I cooked the hot dogs in the air fryer at like 390 degrees for maybe about 4 to 5 minutes until they were brown and cooked all the way through. I warmed up the chili. I cut those buns, added the hot dog, added some of the chili, the cheese, popped it back in the air fryer for just a couple minutes to allow that cheese to melt. Now, Gary ate later than I did. He ate after he got home from the gym, so that's why our plates are plated separately, but it was basically the same thing. And then for the boxed macaroni and cheese, like I said, I do cook it according to the package instructions, but I also like to add in a slice of American cheese at the end. Just gives a little more cheese flavor, and it makes it really creamy. For dinner the next night, I was planning on grilling this chicken, but it was nasty this day outside, so I just cooked it in the air fryer. I've shared this before on my channel. This is so easy. I saw this on Jessica O'Donoghue's channel. It's not really a recipe because it's just 2 ingredients. You just kind of eyeball it, but let me show you how to put this together. So first up, you're going to need Italian dressing. Use whatever kind, whatever brand. This is just what I've got on hand today. And then honey mustard dressing. Again, use whatever kind or brand or homemade you prefer. I've got this on hand. And so you're just going to mix equal parts Italian dressing and honey mustard with some chicken breasts. I'm using these thin sliced. We're going to add them to a Ziploc bag. And today I decided to add some of the Kinder's blend seasoning to it as well. And you just want to let this marinate for a couple hours or overnight if you've got it. And then you can grill this, you can bake it, you can cook it on top of the stove. Like I said, this night I cooked it in the air fryer at 360 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes until the chicken was at least 165 degrees internal temperature, and then I'm going to let it rest for a few minutes. For my side, I'm trying a new recipe for a fall harvest salad. Of course, the recipe will be in the description box below. We're going to start out by making some roasted butternut squash. So I bought these butternut squash cubes. You can buy butternut squash, peel it, cut it, remove the seeds if you'd like. I just did this because it's easy. So I'm going to add that to a bowl and then season this with some olive oil, salt, pepper, garlic powder, and Italian seasoning. Now, I just eyeballed the seasonings, but the recipe has the amounts in there if you prefer to have measurements. So once I've added the seasonings, I'm going to give this a toss. And just like with the chicken, you can totally, roast this in the oven. I think that's how the recipe instructs you to do it. But again, I'm going for easy today, so I'm going to cook this in the air fryer. And I cooked this in the air fryer at about 370 degrees for 12 to 15 minutes or so until the butternut squash was golden and tender. And then I did allow it to just kind of cool to room temperature. Now, for the dressing, I did go off the recipe. The recipe called for an apple cider vinaigrette, which sounded delicious, but the day before I went to make this, I'd seen, I think the lady's Instagram name is It's a Flavorful Life. She'd made a fig balsamic vinaigrette that just sounded delicious, and I thought that would pair really nicely with this salad. So I decided to use the recipe for the fig balsamic vinaigrette instead. You can do either way. I will have the fig balsamic vinaigrette recipe linked down below. So to this jar, we're going to add some fig jam, or I have some fig preserves. I got this as like a little gift basket. I'm going to add that to a little mason jar. I added balsamic vinegar, Dijon mustard, some minced garlic, and then I'm going to add some freshly cracked black pepper as well as kosher salt. Last but not least, I'm adding olive oil. You could do avocado oil or whatever you prefer. And then that's it. We're going to put the lid on this and give it a really, really good shake, and the vinaigrette's done. Definitely give it a taste and adjust the seasonings to your taste. I'm just going to set that to the side while I make the salad. So to my salad bowl, I'm going to add in some baby kale. And to be honest with you, I haven't eaten a lot of kale. Most of the time that I'm aware of when I've had kale, I've had it like finely shredded in the bag salad mixes. And so this was my first time using the baby kale. We actually liked it. So to that, I'm going to add that roasted cooled butternut squash. And then I'm adding some crumbled feta. Then I'm adding some pepitas. These are just roasted salted pumpkin seeds, and I got these at Walmart. You can really find them at your regular grocery store. Next, we're going to add some pomegranate seeds. You can use like fresh pomegranates and, beat out the pomegranate seeds if you want, but I just bought this little cup to make it easier. Next, I'm adding some diced apple, and then we're going to top this off with our vinaigrette dressing and give this a really good toss. I did season this with just a tiny little bit of salt and pepper, and that's it. That's the salad. You guys, this salad was delicious. Both Gary and I really enjoyed this, and he was like, I hope there's leftovers of the salad, and he went and finished the leftovers. It was delicious. All right, so here are the plates. So for my plate, I've got some of that chicken and then the salad. I had some leftover bread that I'd made. It's the No Knead homemade Dutch oven bread, so I'll be sharing how I made that in an upcoming video. And then for Gary, I've mentioned this before, so just to make like grilled chicken like this, he'll eat it and he doesn't complain about it, but I know he prefers it like on a sandwich or something a little more hearty than just grilled chicken. So we had some hamburger buns. I just put the chicken with a slice of Swiss cheese, some tomato, and then some of the Chick-fil-A sauce on there, and that was our dinner. And like I said, we loved that salad. It was so delicious. And that marinade for the chicken, it's simple, but it's so good. The next night, we had burgers for dinner. So like a month or so ago, Gary and I had run into Food Lion to grab something, and he saw these hamburger patties and he grabbed them. I'd placed them in the freezer and pulled them out and allowed them to thaw. I'm going to season them up with some of this Steak and Shake seasoning. And then here are the condiments I set out. I've got some ketchup, mayo, yellow mustard, some pickle slices, and then this Kinder's not barbecue sauce, burger sauce. I've got some lettuce, tomato, leftover cooked bacon, and then some hamburger buns. And then I also had some sliced Colby Jack cheese from the deli. I seasoned both sides of the hamburger patties and cooked them in a skillet on top of the stove on about medium-high heat for a few minutes per side until they were done to our liking. And then I topped a few of them with the Colby Jack slices, and then I decided to add a little bit of barbecue sauce to mine. And then for the side, I'm cooking up these Alexia sweet potato fries, and I know I've shared this before, but this Kinder's brown sugar garlic seasoning on sweet potato fries or baked sweet potatoes is delicious. It's so good. So I cooked the sweet potato fries in the air fryer, 400 degrees for about 15 minutes or so until the fries were done to our liking, and I seasoned it with that seasoning. And then here are the plates. So for Gary's burger, he has lettuce, tomato, pickles, ketchup, mustard, and the Kinder's burger sauce. For me, I had ketchup, the burger sauce, tomato, and I think that was all on mine. And then we've got the sweet potato fries, and we like dipping these sweet potato fries in honey mustard. One of my viewers mentioned that months and months ago for us to give a try, and it's so good. And this was a yummy and simple dinner. For the last dinner in this week's video, I did not take any pictures during our dinner. I apologize about that. But we did go to Longhorn. If you've been with me for a while, you know we typically don't eat out twice a week for sure, unless we're on vacation. But we were kind of having a little celebration, and so yeah, we decided to go to Longhorn, and we were just enjoying the moment. So like I said, I did not get any pictures, but we started out with, I got a cup of their loaded potato soup. Gary got their shrimp and crab chowder, and then for our entrees, we both got steaks with onions and mushrooms with salads. And then for my other side, I did their bacon macaroni and cheese. Gary did a loaded baked potato, and then of course we had their yummy bread and butter, and that was our dinner this night. All right, that is it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video and got some dinner ideas from it. If you did like it, hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I hope you have a great rest of the week. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.